What is up, you outstanding, wonderful, beautiful people out there? My name is Adam. Welcome to the Sizzlin NFL DFS podcast for week number 7. Joined by the FF Toilet Ninja, a.k.a. Charlie. Charlie, how are you?
Oh, man, I am great. I am excited for this weekend's football. I mean, it's kind of a poop-tastic schedule this week, really.
Oh, we'll get there.
Can't stand some of the matchups, but I'm very, very excited because they're going to play in the Indiana night jerseys.
Is that what that is? What jersey is that?
Yes. They're going to debut it this weekend against Cleveland. This is the Indiana Knights jersey. This is the first ever heathered NFL jersey. And what I really appreciate is they went back to the vinyl numbers, which I love. Reminds me of my old 88 jersey. Got the little state of Indiana in the C. It's the alternative.
Oh, that's cool.
The alternate.
Hang on, let's zoom in on that. Let's do that. Take a look at that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so it's got black. The helmets are black with a blue horseshoe. So for the first, look, Colts fans, we have been just clamoring for something new for forever. The Colts are one of the teams that have changed their jersey the least in the history of their existence.
Really?
And they've never added a color.
So I like the blue.
We've been asking for black. Yeah, but we've been asking for black. They've never added a color. It's always just been blue and white. So
I like the black.
They gave us
black. I
black.
also like that style of blue. I like that way better.
Yeah, this heathered. Oh, I love this heathered blue. And of course, I got my 99. This is my anniversary present from my wife.
Are you trying to get JJ Watt to come out of retirement?
Excited. Man,
nice.
Let me tell you something about JJ Watt since you brought him up.
Oh my gosh.
If JJ Watt hadn't played for the Houston Texans, he may have ended up being one of my favorite players ever. I hate him.
You gotta love that division rivalry, eh?
I know, right? But he's oh my God, what a genuine and good guy. That dude is he's a hero. I hate him. But man, he was good at what he did.
He did.
I respect him. And if he had played on any other team, I probably, it would have been it's like Hines Ward. I love Hines Ward, man. Loved him. Absolutely loved him. I don't care that he was a Steeler.
Still one of the all-time greats right there.
Freaking Megatron.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of Megatron, he's Megatron 2.0 coming in next year. Anyway, so we'll head back to this camera here. So everyone, while we have Charlie up over here on the screen, everyone wish him a happy belated birthday. His birthday was earlier this week.
Thank you, sir.
A happy belated birthday, even though I said it to you on your birthday. Cheers.
You did? Absolutely.
That's right. All right. And cheers. So at the same time, folks, we're going to, I'm going to just let everyone know I apologize in advance. I'm dealing with a head cold. I feel better than yesterday. I feel better than this morning. So if I sound nasally and all congested, you know why. If I don't do a lot of talking, you know why. But Charlie, we have a very interesting slate. So as always, I tried doing some preliminary research, aka listen to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast, and I didn't get through a lot of it. But when they say that we don't have a game total over 50, not surprising. The only good high-scoring game or high-total game is the Chargers-Chiefs game. That says a lot about this week. I posted when we went live that it's, we have a lot of people on bye this week. Some podcasts have referred, some analysts have referred to as Bye-Mageddon. I don't think of it that way. I don't think there are a lot of high-impact teams that are on bye that I really care about. Houston's on a bye. The Bengals are on a bye.
That's a big
Carolina. Okay, so the Bengals are on a bye. And then you have Carolina. They're on a bye. You just can't play old man Adam Thielen this week.
Dallas.
Good for Adam Thielen, by the way. I mean, come on. Now, remember, I don't have CeeDee Lamb on any roster. I don't have Tony Pollard on any roster. I told you all in the preseason that they were two fades of mine. I was out on this and I was out on Pollard. I was out on Lamb. Looking good so far.
It's funny because last year I was really in on Lamb. I thought that was going to be his like big breakout, and like it didn't, really acclimate to that
Right.
necessarily. And so this year I stayed away from Lamb. I have a couple shares of Pollard. I'm not mad about it.
I don't
I
have an
didn't
issue with Lamb as a person, as a player.
Oh, I think
I
he's
don't.
a good player. I think he's being misused.
Yes, I 100% agree with you that I think he's being royally misused. That's besides the point. Someone just posted the Patriots depth chart earlier on today, going into the Bills game in the RTR Discord. Oh my goodness! So I kind of find this funny. Hopefully, every one of you will find this funny out there too. Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker. That's everyone so far that doesn't have an injury tag. The following players have a questionable tag: Juju Smith-Schuster, Hunter Henry, Trent Brown, Cole Strange, David Andrews, Mike Onwenu. So that's what, 6 players on questionable, and then there's Vidarian Lau, who is also does not have an injury designation. So that's 4 of the 5 pieces of our offensive line are questionable.
Is this how they're going to tank?
I mean, even
They're going to do it through injury.
I think Trent Brown's playing. It's just funny. Listen, speaking of tanking, thank you for
It's the respectable way to tank. This is what Bill would do.
Bill's not going to be here next year.
Everybody get hurt. All right, I want you to go out there. I want you to get hurt.
Bill's not going to be here next year.
I'm. You know what? That's not going to surprise me. If that happens, that won't surprise me.
I want Bill to go get the all-time wins record. I want him to do that. I think I heard some stat he was 16 wins away.
Oh, that's only like,
from breaking Shula's record.
5 seasons.
That's 2 seasons if he has a good roster.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
He's not going to be here to have that roster. I mean, I said before the season that I don't think
somebody will take him.
I think this team wins under 7.5 games. I didn't think the roster was very good. With all due respect to Kendrick Bourne, when he's our number 1 receiver, that's not good. It's not good. That's besides the point.
I think they're going to lose every game.
Yeah, speaking of tanking, all of you out there can tell me what you think of the trade I made this week. Yeah, I did a thing.
This is what you're telling me about?
I did a thing. This week there, chat. I'm pulling it up. Give me a second.
Well, was this the one you were telling me?
Yeah, I did a thing.
Yeah. We made a little trade too.
We did.
Which I appreciate.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for taking Mixon from me, and thank you for giving me Puka.
No problem at all.
Which is a fair trade. Mixon for Puka.
It absolutely is at this point. And you know what? Did you see my other move that I made?
I did not. So we'll get to that in a second. Let me get to my. I have it. So I did a thing. I did a thing this week. So I did a thing. Here's the trade. Dynasty League, Superflex plus IDP. It's a 10-team league. I traded for Justin Jefferson and Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt was kind of a throw.
I like
even
Hyatt.
Though he was one I targeted, but you'll understand why in a second. So I'm going to preface this by saying, if this other guy is listening to our podcast, I felt like this was the draft day movie that I was in. That I had to give away a ridiculous amount of picks to go get the pick that I wanted, to go get the guy that I want, then to have the leverage and become the draft season to go get the actual player I want. I traded Austin Eckler, Romeo Dobbs, who I picked up off of waivers this year in the offseason, and 2 2024 first-round picks. Mine and the place that I traded with, he gets his pick back.
Nice.
So it's Eckler, Dobbs, and 2 2024 first. It's most likely going to be a mid and a late first, the way our teams are looking right now, for Justin Jefferson and Jalen Hyatt. Now, why did I do that? Oh, you traded for Justin Jefferson. Your team's set for the next 10 years. Is it? Am I keeping Justin Jefferson? There's a player next year that Charlie has been clamoring on this podcast for weeks that he wants on his team next year. That
Absolutely.
is one Marvin Harrison Jr., the person who is going after Justin Jefferson, has what could end up being the number 1 overall pick. Had he traded for Jefferson, the person that was getting him, I was going to offer 3 first-round picks for. I was accumulating 2024s and 5s first because I know there's only one player I want in next year's draft class right now. The generational talent that is Marvin Harrison Jr. And when you said Megatron, Marvin Harrison, I think, has that ceiling as a player. I think he's going to be looked at as legendary like his dad, Marvin Harrison. He could be better than his dad.
Yes.
This kid is explosive. I've said it before. When I did my due diligence on Jackson Smith-Njigba for the draft, man, JSN's a good player. Harrison outshined him on multiple plays. He just stood out like a sore thumb. Just like that much better. It's kind of like what some of these draft pundits were saying about Jordan Addison. It's like, oh, Jordan Addison played with Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams just stood out above Addison. Addison made the plays, but Caleb Williams just stood out over Addison. Harrison just stood out over JSN.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Harrison is a very special talent. I haven't watched any college football this year. I'm sure he's still crushing it. I mean,
dude, he's been like, this is his whole life. His dad is Marvin.
So that's it in terms of my Dynasty League. So now, to quote Kevin Costner from, is it Costner or Costner?
Costner.
So to quote Kevin,
there's a little T in there. Costner.
Oh. So it's like a silent T.
No, Costner. You not hear the T in there?
Anyway, to quote the character Sonny Weaver Jr., Kevin Costner, however you pronounce his last name, to quote him from draft day, I have the golden ticket now, Tom. If you make this deal, you get to save Seahawk football in Seattle. Something like that. I have the golden ticket to get Marvin Harrison Jr. next year to re-bolster my roster as long as Marvin Harrison doesn't go to the Bears. Then I might keep Jefferson. Because right now the Bears look like they're going to have the number 1, 2 picks. And by the way, before we get into DFS, this is how excited I am about talking about the slate.
Oh my gosh.
Did you hear that he wants a partial ownership stake in whatever team he goes to? Supposedly?
Yeah. Oh my God. What is that? Like, dude,
you're not going to get that.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You get here.
Brady didn't get one with the Patriots. Who knows if Montana got one with the 49ers? Elway became president of operations for Denver. Do you really think you're better than the GOAT who didn't get anything with the Patriots? Hello?
Like, that's just foolish, man.
Like, I mean, I've heard rumors if there's only certain teams he wants to play for, he'll go back. He'll go back in for his 4th year.
I see. Like, that's that alone is gonna put half the teams off on him. You know what I mean?
Doesn't that just seem like Bo Callahan all over again?
Oh my God, it does.
Oh, I need to actually go through and watch the whole movie. Anyway, let's get into this slate.
Oh, I love that
movie. How very excited I am about talking about the slate. This slate is just—it's
poo-poo.
This slate's terrible, Charlie.
It is. It's poo-poo. I'm telling you, man. It's not. I hate most of the matchups this week. Like, this is just. I don't know, man. The wrong offenses are playing the wrong defenses. There's no like marquee. Like, I guess Chiefs, Chargers, but
that's it.
It's just, I'm excited. I am still very excited though, because I'm going to be watching my game in my jersey with them wearing the same jersey. So
against the team, by the way, that just defeated the 49ers.
Hey, you know what? And look, I'm going to say it right now. the Colts are going to win this game.
Hopefully.
I
honestly don't care.
Really think they are. I
I
really think
mean,
they are. I think this is
so
going to be a
here's the
sneaky
deal.
little win.
Here's the deal. At the end of the day, we are here to make money.
Yep.
I can tell you all this, and I have no problem sharing this. Over the last several years, I myself have had on multiple occasions the winning players in the Millie Maker lineup that won that week in my player pool. I've already had it once again this year. Last week, someone else in the RTR Discord, same thing. Had all the players in the winning lineup in his player pool. Someone, and I'm going to give a shout out to Jay Chan in our RTR Discord, cleaned up last week. Stuck to his conviction plays on the Lions. Goff, St. Brown, Laporta, I think he had, or he had Montgomery. He had some combination. He almost took down first in multiple tournaments. He took down one, came in second, third. He made bank last week.
Heck yeah.
The process is right. Some of Charlie's plays have hit this year. Some of my plays have hit this year. Look, this has been a very weird season. Scoring across the league has been down. Scoring across the league this year has been down. And because scoring across the league has been down, it's been very difficult. You guys have like Raheem Mostert going off. Adam Thielen's going off. David Montgomery, okay, that one's viable. Tua, we saw that coming. Tyreek Hill, we know how good he is.
Absolutely.
Achan, there was a reason. Everyone was saying he went to the right spot. It's been a very weird year. And Charlie, this is a very weird week. Let's just take a look at the slate because you're going to have to make a decision this week. Remember how last week you and I grouped the top 4 quarterbacks that were over 7K? Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
This week we got 3 quarterbacks over 8K.
I only want one of them too.
Because DraftKings did a really good job. Patrick Mahomes is 8,300, Josh Allen is 8,200, and Justin Herbert is 8,000. DraftKings did a really good job putting the highest total game on the slate and 2 of the best quarterbacks on the slate over 8K because you're going to have to make a decision.
Yep.
So what are you doing with this? Let's just call it the 8K tier plus Lamar Jackson because Justin Fields is out this week. I'll take my L on him last week. I was on him. He was in my Millie Maker lineup. Let's see. London, check. Mostert, check. Browns defense, check. And I'm looking going, that was it, 5 or 6 points from Justin Fields? You can't predict injury.
Yeah.
I was heavy on Chase last week. Oops. It's okay. So what are we doing with this top tier of quarterbacks, the 3 in the 8K range? And then we'll group them in because it goes Lamar Jackson, 7,600, and then Matthew Stafford at 6,500. So what are we doing with these top 4 quarterbacks?
Well, the only one that I'm touching, if I'm getting any, I'm going all in, and I'm getting Mahomes. I think he's going to have a huge game. I've got several shares of him already. It's just the matchups. He by far has the best matchup. But it's just I don't like any of the matchups. This is what I'm talking about too with this schedule this week. The whole thing is terrible. Just the wrong offenses are playing the wrong defenses. It's just yucky. Like Herbert, look, Herbert's been a really good fantasy quarterback for most of the year. So, I mean, you can always, take a chance on him. If I need to make it work, if I need to move $300 somewhere, I might take Herbert over Mahomes, but I'm not touching Allen. New England's defense and look, their coaching as far as like game planning and scheming and stuff is still really good. So like, I'm not touching him, and then Lamar Jackson. All right, let me tell you this about Lamar Jackson. Right now, this is probably the first time all season I am actually throwing Detroit's defense in some of my lineups, not just to save a little bit of money, but because and that's one
2,700
of
this week for what it's worth.
that's one of the ways of getting Patrick Mahomes in my lineup. But the Ravens haven't been that great this year. They're not the Ravens that they used to be. They're
Nope.
adjusting to a new offense. There's some growing pains in that. And, I mean, aside from, Andrews being all right, not even not by far not one of his best seasons yet.
Well, listen, we will get to Andrews.
But yeah, but they're not, they're not what they once were. So
Nope.
And Detroit, for as far as fantasy goes, Detroit's defense hasn't been that bad.
They've been really good.
So,
all right. So that's how excited we are about these top tier quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm not like those, and those are hard no's. Like I am not touching Lamar. I am not touching Allen. I'm not going to pay that money because I believe there's no way that they yield the points to justify the spending.
So that's something else we got to talk about. Now I don't have the stats to back this up. Again, shout out to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I think either Stevie or Keith mentioned this, that a lot of winning lineups this year are cheaper quarterbacks with paying up for those higher tier position players that are going off. So let's just do this. Mahomes, 8,300. He needs to break 30. Allen needs to break 30. Herbert needs to break 30. Jackson can get you around 30. And you'd be loving that if you paid that much for them, right? You're having a great day. You probably get stacks that are going off. But then what happens? By the way, last week's Millie Maker winner was Desmond Ridder against the Commanders in a low total game. He was the winning quarterback. But Charlie, what was he? Cheap.
Oh, cheap. Yeah. And I got a cheap range this week.
And he got like 20 some odd points. Didn't matter what any high tier quarterback did, because that allowed you to pay up for, whoever went off that week. Got you AJ Brown, got you St. Brown. It got you higher tier position players that went off. I don't know how much of these quarterbacks I'm going to have, because if you just pair, let's just take what's going to be what I assume is chalk of the week, what I assume is best game environment. It is the best game environment of the week. Eckler's 86, Pacheco 61. Keenan Allen's 86, right? Josh Palmer's 48. Rashid Rice is 47. Travis Kelce is 8K. Parham is 3K. Like, that is 8K, 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 6K, 8K, 4.8K, 4.7K, 8K, 3K. There's a lot of eights in there.
There's also a lot of cheapies in there that I like.
I do too.
Well, not a lot,
but that could be a common build.
Yeah.
And that's the best game environment of the week. By the way, best game environment of the week only has a 48 total. Or 47.5. That's the highest total on this slate. I tell you what I think is another interesting game is Arizona-Seattle.
Oh, man, I was just going to say that. Like, when you're saying, for fantasy purposes, I think that the best game may be Seattle and Arizona. This could be a high-scoring game, and there's some guys. Look, there's a couple of injuries that are going to affect this game a little bit, but I like those. I don't like injuries. Don't get me wrong. I don't like injuries.
Oh, of course not.
The result of those injuries for other players, I think, is going to bode well in some fantasy points. And I'm really going to be on my Jedi this week. I'm telling you that right now.
There is weather in these games.
Even better.
And that's something we got to keep in mind. The problem is it's Friday as we're live on this podcast. While we don't really factor in weather too much, it is a factor.
Absolutely.
If you're between a couple players. but it's not a massive factor unless it's like downpouring.
Or
You know
snow.
what I mean? Winds over 40 miles an hour sustained is a problem. So we'll get there.
I think it's just position players.
Right.
It affects.
So let's
Yeah.
get down to this. Okay, the 6K tier: Stafford, Goff, and Geno Smith. Give me a bounce back week for Seattle here. I think Geno gets right back on the bandwagon. I think he breaks 20 fantasy points. I think he goes over 300 yards. I think he goes for 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think the Seattle offense is about to go off.
All right. I don't know. I'm not. So I really like some guys on Seattle, but I don't think that Geno, I don't know, man. I'm losing a little bit of trust because I've seen way more of this than what I've seen last season
Uh-huh.
through the course of his career. I've seen more of this. So, I'm not trusting him in my lineups. I mean, he's an okay play, but I just this guy's cheaper that I trust more.
We'll get
Or
there.
and in this range, I'd rather have Goff anyhow.
Against the Baltimore defense, I think is interesting.
No, yeah, but you know what? When you're hot, you're hot.
Fair.
So,
I'm not.
this is like the Goff. This could be like the Goff renaissance. This week, I feel like he might be like he's going to prove and be like, hey, look, I can play on the road.
It's the Goff
I
renaissance
really can.
until my boy Hendon Hooker gets in there next year, right?
Okay, no, that's cool. That's fair enough. Hendon Hooker is possibly a really good quarterback.
But again, Hendon Hooker, they knew when they drafted him.
Yeah,
he's a backup for now. Yeah, because he needs time to develop. He's coming off of that ACL injury.
Yeah,
he's going to need to get up to speed. And that's fine. Goff's doing perfect for them. I don't know if Goff's going to win him a Super Bowl.
No.
But this Detroit team right now is 5-1 and are a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah. Oh, I think they're definitely going to the playoffs. And look, and you think he doesn't know what we're saying? I mean, he's not listening to us, but he's already heard that. He knows who's knocking on his door. He's playing for another gig. He's not just he's playing to win. Of course he's playing to win. He's playing to do it for Detroit and all, but he's also playing for his next gig.
Correct. This is he's playing for a contract. Now look, I have a lot of respect for Baltimore's defense. Yes, this isn't the Baltimore defense of old. This isn't the elite, crazy shutdown defense. They're not.
At all.
But the Baltimore defense is getting healthier. I think Goff is a very viable option at 6,400. You pair him and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But again, there's another really tough ask at 8K. There's going to be... Oh, wait. Okay. See, again, if you're new here, this is my first look at the slate, and I see Cooper Kupp at 9,500. Hey, DraftKings, this isn't the Kupp of last year.
It might be this week.
I see Puka Nacua at 7,600. I'll take Puka all day, every day over that Kupp price tag.
Nope, not me. I'm paying up. This is my guy this week. This is the guy I am.
Save it for wide receiver. Save it for wide receiver. Oh, again, I apologize about the sniffles. I'm dealing with a head cold. Anyway, let's get out of this range. Goff is interesting. I like Smith. You've talked me on to Goff a bit more. Stafford, look, he's fine. He's 6,500. He's starting to get up there in price. Going to be really difficult to pay for him and Puka together, or even Kyren, which I don't even know if he's not playing this week. Kyren's already been ruled out. So this is going to be a very interesting week. Who the heck did they just sign?
Who?
The Rams signed somebody today.
From Darrell Henderson Jr. off the practice squad. This is the one running back that knows the game plan.
Is it going to be Darrell Henderson over Zach Evans?
I think it's going to be a real even split, and I think that the guy with the experience is going to be more successful. But I'm not. I don't
get it. Again, We will get there. We'll get to those positions, but this is really difficult this week. We gotta find these plays. So let's get back to quarterback. There's a lot of plays under 6K this week.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to name mine off and then I'll give you the floor. Jordan Love, Sam Howell, Deshaun Watson should play, but he's a true game time decision. They need to see how he's doing, but I believe the plan is for Watson to play. Dobbs, Tyrod Taylor, Pickett, Hoyer, Jordan Love this week. 5,800 at Denver. Sign me up. Sam Howell against the Giants.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Give it to me
go
all
ahead.
day long.
You have the floor. I'm going to.
There, Sam Howell is going up against a freaking terrible team. They're just not good. And I don't know if they even have like the will.
Those people have families.
Hey, look, they're better than me, but you know,
I'm kidding. They're a bad defense.
That level, for the level that they're playing on, they are not good. Sam Howell is $5,500 right now in my lineups. I have more shares of Sam Howell than anybody else. This is my guy. 5,500 for 5,500. Sam Howell's probably going to get right around 20 points. He might even get 25. It is seriously possible. It really just depends on how out of hand the game gets. Because it may be, we'll see. He may lose some, time to the run in the second half if they get way out of hand. But I seriously think he's going to come out and do his thing and have a couple of touchdowns and a whole bunch of yards. It's going to be nice. Like it's not going to surprise me if he hits, his high yardage mark or near it for the year.
Yeah, this New York Giants team is not good. However, we look at them overall as not good. All right. So here's the flow chart. They're not the worst defense on the slate.
No,
they're not.
They're not. But dude, I think
tell you someone in this game that we are going to target. And that's Brian Robinson Jr.
Absolutely. I got that one down for the running back.
When we get to running backs, we're going to talk about it because the things that we need to talk about. By the way, if the DWB folks are out there listening, I saw Marco rocking a DWB t-shirt. I need me one of those things.
Right? I love the
send them to Charlie and I. We'll wrap
NWO logo.
Right. Charlie,
I do. Big fan of the new logo.
Listen, we don't need to start talking pro wrestling on this podcast. We're going to keep
it
football.
No, not going to do it. I'm just saying, I do love that logo.
All I'm saying, folks, if you're listening, we're just saying. You got to hook up.
Check it out.
Hook your boys up.
Look, Sam Howell 5,500 is really good. And I think, and you already talked about, Desmond Ridder, he's starting to come on. It's a rivalry kind of game. He's on the uptick, Tampa Bay's tough, but they're much tougher against the run than they are against the pass. And overall, a really good defense, but much better against the run in the pass. Oh, you play Tampa Bay, you're almost forced to go through the air sometimes to really score on them. So I like how it's shaping up for Ridder. He's sneaky, and I honestly, and now look. A little bit of this is the fan in me, but I actually do believe that the Colts are going to win, and I think they're going to have a game. I don't think many people are going to have shares of Minshew. I'm going to have some shares of Minshew.
See, I want to, not after last week. I think Minshew is a good play. I'm fine with Pittman. I'm fine with Downs. I'm fine with that's really it. This defense, this Cleveland defense is legit. I had a ridiculous amount of Cleveland defense last week at 2,200. Don't get me wrong. I was a little worried with the way that game started, but the defense came on. I don't know how I feel about Minshew this week. He's a fine option. I'm not saying not to play him. However, I'm probably playing Ritter before I'm playing Minshew.
Oh, I'll have more shares of Ritter. Yeah, Minshew's a complete roll of the dice. I just feel that it could be a sneaky play because I don't think a lot of people are going to have shares of him. And I'll tell you what, Sunday morning, I may wake up and if Tyrod Taylor is playing, I might go on to some lineups and maybe switch a few things around and take advantage of his price because this is a game where for fantasy, he could do relatively well if he starts. It really is. I like the matchup for him a lot if he gets the start. And there's no telling that team on the field, they might have more faith in him.
And Tyrod?
Yeah. I mean, that offense has been a mess.
Also, we do want to get a note, and I apologize to everyone last week. DTR did not start for Cleveland. It was PJ Walker. I apologize for that. It was reported that Brian Hoyer will be the starter for Vegas this week, not Aiden O'Connell.
And secret agent man for Chicago.
Yeah, Tyler Badgett. Undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
I have no other
Division
interest.
2 school was it?
Is it
Division 2 school? Like Springfield University or something?
I have no clue.
But like there's not listen, quarterbacks this week, I feel like
it's really not good.
The key I think the key is to pay up for Mahomes or you get like a Howell or a Ritter or a Goff. Yeah. So it's not good. I'm gonna probably have more shares of Howell and Mahomes than anybody else.
And that's fair. I haven't made builds yet, but my initial inkling is to Mahomes, Love, Goff, Ritter. Again, it's if I have the salary for Mahomes. Let's get into running backs because I want Austin Eckler. I want Austin Eckler shares this week, man. I want Austin Eckler shares. He's 8,600. He's a volume beast. This will be, I think, the toughest matchup he has the rest of the year. Just give me all the Austin Eckler this week. Like, if I'm paying up for a running back, it's him. I'm not paying up for Barkley.
No,
I'm not paying up for Bijan. I'm paying up for Eckler.
I'll take a shot on Jacobs.
That's why I left him off.
He's got a good matchup.
He hasn't paid off.
Eckler's really expensive, though.
Correct. He hasn't done much this year. Jacobs is getting a lot of attempts. He's getting a decent amount of targets. He's not really paying off the expensive price tag, but against Chicago with Brian Hoyer at quarterback?
Exactly. That's my thing. They're going to lean on the run, and it's a bad run defense. If he makes anything out of the opportunity that he's going to get, it could pay off. I mean, he could.
Let me go look at the flow charts from the RTR Discord. Shout out Jay.
He could get one of those plays.
So this is in our RTR Discord. I'm not going to give everything away, but one of the members in there, Jay Chan, the guy that crushed last week, so happy for him. I'm going to have you take a guess. How many? Chicago is one of the top 4 in running back 1 and 2. So top 24 running backs games allowed. How many do you think Chicago has? Total. This is for running backs 1 and 2. So running backs in the top 24, how many games allowed do you think they've given up?
Oh.
Take a guess. They're one of the 4 worst teams. How many top 24 running back games do you think Chicago's given up this year?
Probably.
Keep in mind, it can be multiple running backs.
Okay, see. 3.
Higher. Remember, they're one of the 4 worst.
Okay, what are we? We're in week 7?
7.
What?
They've
7?
allowed 7 top 24 running back performances this year.
Wow.
Because again, this could be RB's 1 and or 2.
How many is the Broncos giving up?
6.
All right.
Carolina's the worst. Houston's second worst.
Yeah, they're not
Arizona
good
and
against
Chicago
the
are tied for third worst. I'm
Okay.
obviously not going to give everything away in our Discord. But give me some Josh Jacobs this week. I do think he's probably going to be my highest owned running back on the week.
Yeah, I like Jacobs this week.
I do think in large field GPPs, if you want to pivot off Jacobs to Eckler, I think that's viable. If you want to pivot off Jacobs to Kenneth Walker, who we're going to get into here in a second, I think that's viable. Kenneth Walker's versus Arizona. What did I just say about Chicago? Arizona's tied with Chicago.
This matchup. Love it.
If you guys tell me, hey Adam, I'm punting quarterback this week. I'm going to try going for a nice cheap stack, and I want to get Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, and Cooper Kupp.
Yes, I love that. That is juicy.
Do it.
Like it a lot. I have that in some lineups.
Because we're going to get into a wide receiver who has been poo-pooed, is older, been getting a lot of work, been getting touchdowns, not being talked about, not getting enough love. We'll get there when we get to wide receiver. That's a little tease. Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker were 2 pay-ups I'm going to have a lot of this week.
Yes. I am all over. Oh, yeah, dude. Skywalker, baby. He's going to do it again. He's going to do it again.
The other thing to keep in mind, Walker's already good, but Zach Charbonnet is listed as questionable and wasn't, and according to the news from RotoWire, isn't practicing Friday. A player that doesn't practice on Friday typically doesn't play on Sunday.
He's not the only one that might not play.
You haven't got the DK Metcalf yet. I saw the questionable tag on him.
That has a big effect.
Charbonnet has slowly been kind of eating into Walker. Again, you're not
a little bit.
You're not going to run Kenneth Walker into the ground. You know you have this amazing possible 3 down running back and Charbonnet behind you. You got JSN. You set Gino up for massive success. I get that when it came to draft time. Kenneth Walker's going to feast this week.
Hey, Daddy.
Hello, kiddo.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll finish building. Okay.
You got to go finish that Lego set, Daddy.
Did you catch that?
Come on, Dad. Go finish the Lego set, Dad.
He can't say Star Wars.
Come on, Lego, Dad. Let's go.
Because can we finish the Star Wars jet?
So good.
I've tried to correct him so many times.
It's fine.
So it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But look,
so do you agree that Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker are 2 of the best running back plays on the slate?
Absolutely. I want to point out, if DK doesn't play, I think that they favor the run a little bit more with Charbonnet. If he doesn't play, then it's like we're talking serious, like old school workhorse role possibly here. Like almost
we're
every
also talking
snap.
an expanded work role for Lockett, who's going to have to play the Metcalf role.
Oh yeah.
And JSN will get more work out of the slot. It might really do both of their confidence levels good, and they both could have good weeks. We'll get there when we get to wide receivers. Now, Aaron Jones has a questionable tag on him.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Strained left hamstring back in week 1. What the heck are we doing with him this week? Is he going to play? The question is did Aaron Jones practice today? Again, I haven't really looked at injury news.
He did practice.
Limited or full?
That I am not sure of, but I know that he practiced, and I know he's trending in the right direction. Is what I've heard.
If he plays, I want exposure to him.
See, I do too. It's just he did play already, and it wasn't good. You know what I mean? It's like
Coming off
I
the bye.
almost want to see him do it before. I mean, he's a dice roll to me this week too. Because if he blows up, he's going to blow up. That dude can put up a fantasy game, and he's got the matchup to do it.
He's a pivot off Jacobson Walker for GPPs. If you want to play all three together, I'm not going to stop you.
I also like Robinson. I like Brian Robinson.
Can we just get there? 5,800 just against the Giants. The dude is going to absolutely smash.
Look, hey, like I said,
he hasn't really done it this year. I care why. This attempt crap needs to change. What happened when you gave Brian Robinson the ball against Denver? 18 attempts, 87 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and caught 2 of the 3 balls. 28.9 fantasy points. Give me more of that, Brian Robinson. I think Robinson is going to feast this week.
Absolutely. Look, like I was saying with Hal, this game could get out of hand for the Giants early. And then all they have to do is lean on Brian Robinson Jr. And that's great. That's what you want. That's the game script you want for your fantasy running back. You want a team to blow them up in the first half and lean on the run. Just eat up the clock, lean on the run in the second half. And that's the kind of game that this has a lot of potential to be.
Yep.
So I like him. I like him more than Bijan Robinson.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Not this week. I don't want Bijan at all.
No, against Tampa Bay. I mean, if you want to play him, by all means.
He's like Saquon. I'm not touching him.
Again, I have no problem if you want to play him. I'm probably not going to play him because I'm going to have way more Jacobs and Walker. And like I said, I want to pivot to Eckler if I have the money because of the workload that Eckler will get, especially in a game where the Chargers are probably going to want to slow down Kansas City. Eckler can really devour any defense. He has that upside. So keep that in mind. So let's just go over some other running back plays. Jahmyr Gibbs should get the full workload with David Montgomery already ruled out for this week. Jahmyr Gibbs is back. He has no injury designation leading into this game. I like Gibbs this week. Players I like more than Gibbs, Pacheco,
absolutely,
Javonte, Dillon, if Jones doesn't play. And I'm trying to see if there's really anyone else I'm interested in. There really isn't. I think it's probably going to be a tighter running back core for me. If Roshan's active, yes.
There is Foreman.
Oh, no, Roshan's ruled out.
There's Foreman. Foreman is 4,800. 4,800.
Oh, yeah. Okay, see, I didn't realize that Roshan was already
way down there.
Oh, yeah, we're going right back to Deonta Foreman. Now, last week led a lot of us down. But you know what?
4,800, that's a pretty good flex to help get somebody like Patty Mahomes in your lineup and still pay up for a Cooper Kupp or an Eckler,
All right, so again, the Morning Grind podcast kind of picked this up. What are we doing with Travis Homer? He's the pass-catching back.
I'm not doing anything with him.
Any interest in Travis Homer?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I think Foreman's a great play. Like if I have
as the host, I have to ask. I gotta ask.
Yeah. No.
All right. So what other running back plays you like?
I do. I like Pacheco.
Yeah.
I think he's got the potential because of this game, to get some good points. Gonna get a passing touchdown, receiving touchdown, probably possibly run one in, get some good yardage in the middle of the field. So I like him. I like him at his price point. He's going to be pretty good. We talked about Brian Robinson.
Mhm.
It's to me. I mean, we've already talked about it, man. Walker is really the way to go if you want to go like Eckler, but Pacheco and Foreman are pretty good picks as well.
Hey, Daddy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the next one.
Okay, you gotta go talk to Mama. I love you. I'll
Mommy
see you when I'm
said I
done.
can watch the next one.
Okay, buddy. Sorry.
You're good. There's a reason
They
this
went
is
out
called
to
the
the store to
Dads
get
with
ice
Bacon
cream.
podcast.
All right. They went out to the store to get ice cream. So he's probably got, a little sugar rush going on.
Where's my ice cream?
Yeah, I got to get some too. I'm hoping they brought me a little mint chocolate chip or something.
Oh, that's one of my favorite flavors. My dude.
So good. So
My
good.
dude. We just got
That is
some
what I had on my
sorbets
birthday.
my wife and I got some sorbets from Costco. Oh, so good. They are delicious. That's like I had a pomegranate one last night in an actual lemon. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Coconut in a coconut shell. So good. Anyway, wide receiver or anything else talking about the running backs. I think for me it's a pretty
No.
tight core this week.
Yeah, I think we've covered it. There's not a lot. There's not a lot to go out. A lot of it's
Yeah.
going to be chalk. Oh well, you're going to need them.
A lot of again for me, I think it's at least right now on Friday night when we're recording this, it's 9:07 it's 9:07 Eastern time. I think for me it's a tight running back player pool this week. Let's get into wide receivers and let's get into, you already alluded to it, your favorite play on the slate. Talk about Cooper Kupp.
Oh my God, dude. Cooper Kupp he's just getting better. He's Cooper Kupp again. And it's going to be great. And he's got a nice matchup. I love this matchup for him. He is expensive, but 9,500, I'm going to put him in. I've found plenty of ways to get Cooper Kupp in, and he is going to be wide receiver 1 this week. It's going to happen. I believe that it's going to happen, and it definitely look for that price tag. He's going to make it worth it. And I don't really like any of the other, top end wide receivers. It's just a lot of bad matchups. DK, I can't trust this week. Coop, I'm all about it though. He's going to get a bunch of targets and he's probably going to get like 2 touchdowns.
Interesting. All right. So DK Metcalf has done nothing but score over 10 fantasy points in every game he's played this year. 10 fantasy points. So he's listed as questionable with a rib/hip injury. It's a game time decision. Now it's the 4:00 window. This is saying Metcalf's been playing through this rib injury since week 2. Yikes. He added a hip injury.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's dealing with multiple injuries. And to me, I don't trust that because I either think decoy
He
or
could be a decoy
going to
this
make
week.
it days or through the game or snap count. Is that how he's going to make it through the game?
Right.
Oh,
Now look, Cooper Kupp went off in week 6.
he's going
He
off
did
both
well
weeks.
in week 5. He's Stafford's favorite target. We said this about the quarterbacks. Cooper Kupp is going to need 30 plus to pay off this price tag. Puka is 7,600. I would much rather the $1,900 savings and go to Puka Nacua.
My thing is that I feel like Puka might be on a little bit of a downtick right now.
We all knew this. This is the Cooper Kupp show.
Yeah, and I think this week is there's a big difference. That's just what I think, though. I just think that there's going to be a big difference in points. I'd rather have Kupp over Nacua. I like Nakua's price better, and I think at his price, he's a good play.
Well, that's the thing.
But you can't get them both in; they're too expensive.
If price wasn't an issue, yes, obviously Cooper Kupp is the play all day, every day.
Yeah,
but price is an issue. We play in a salary cap game, and 9,500. He's the highest player on the slate in terms of pricing by $600. Diggs is the next highest expensive at 8,900.
Yep.
I'd rather Diggs. Keenan, I'm okay with. This could be the Quentin Johnston game. Devontae, I don't really trust this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a sneaky play. Evans, I like. Godwin's okay. I think DJ Moore is interesting. I like Jacoby Myers. I've already talked about Tyler Lockett, and we'll get there in a second. Is there anyone before we get to Tyler Lockett that you want to talk about? Because I think this is a really tough week for wide receivers this week. If you're not Cooper Kupp.
Surprisingly, other than Kupp and Lockett, who we're going to talk about, and I do think St. Brown it might be a good play as well. Most of the receivers that I'm looking at is where I'm saving my money so I can get my quarterback, my top receiver, and my running backs. So I've got, guys like London Samuel. Those are good plays.
Okay. Why spoil it?
But let's talk about Lockett because that's a great play.
You spoiled my play.
Oh, man.
Curtis Samuel is the player I alluded to earlier. Curtis Samuel is older. He's undervalued. He's overlooked. You know what he's done the last 3 weeks? 8 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets.
A lot. That's what he's done. A lot.
Do you know what he's done? 18.2 fantasy points, 18.5, 14.2. 35, 36, 3,700. He's 4K this week. He's facing the Giants. I'm going right back to the well on Curtis Samuel as a value play.
Absolutely. Look, I just talked up the quarterback for this game, right? And this is one of the reasons why. Both of the games where he's gotten the majority of the targets, I think it's 2 games he was their most targeted receiver. He has excelled, and I feel like this is a good matchup for that to happen as well. Jahan Dotson is like, I don't know what's going on with him. I had really high hopes for that kid. Really high hopes. And look, Scary Terry is great. He is great, but he draws the coverage.
This year? I just feel like he has. Yeah, he's okay.
He hasn't blown up, but he's had a great season. He's had one bad game. Bad game. But yeah, he hasn't blown up. But he's drawing most of the coverage, which opens up Samuel more. Plus, I think didn't he started this season with a turf toe injury, didn't he?
I think it during the season.
I think maybe he got that during preseason or something, I believe. But we all know turf toe is the kind of thing that, I
think he got it during the season, maybe a couple of weeks ago.
It might have been, but we know that that's the kind of thing that can linger. That they'll play through and it can linger. So Samuel, opportunity is king. He's got an opportunity. What he's done when he's had opportunities has been pretty good, and his price point is damn good.
It's very good. So let's talk about that. We've teased it enough. Let's go back to Tyler Lockett. Look, if you just game log watch, all right, you're going to see no real fantasy points here. You dig it in a bit deeper. 4 targets, 10 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, 8 targets. If DK Metcalf doesn't go, lock and load.
Yep. Even if DK goes, I'm
he can be a decoy. Give me some Lockett.
If it comes up to a serious game time decision for DK, I'm still all over Lockett.
Yep. See, and the people are like, "Oh, how about Jake Bobo?" I wanted this kid on a decent team. This is a kid out of UCLA, rookie wide receiver. I'd play him in Showdown. I'm not playing him on a big slate. He doesn't get the targets, but he's out there. They like this kid. Now we're talking about Seattle wide receivers. Jackson Smith, the Jigba, coming off the bye last week, saw 5 targets, 4 receptions for 48 yards.
Yep. Did a bit more with his targets in that game than he has the other games. So, at least looking like he's headed in the right direction. But it's still, I mean, yeah. I'm taking Lockett, and I'm not going to stack the two of them. I'm not stacking JSN with another with
No,
Lockett.
it's really difficult. All right, after Tyler Lockett, I think Gabe Davis is interesting. Not someone I want to get to. I want to get to the Packers wide receivers. I think a Green Bay stack this week is going to be really good. Christian Watson is only 5,600. Romeo Dobbs is 4,900. You can pair him with a Javante, pair him with the Judy, pair him with the Sutton. There's a cheap stack for you.
Yeah, you know what? I don't mind throwing a Sutton in there.
I mean, let's just take a look at it, right? Like it's a late game. It's one of the hammers. So let's go Love. Let's go Watson, Dobbs. Let's run this back. Let's just say with Javante. Oh, look at how much money I got left. Let's just throw in a very cheap defense. Cheap home defense. Patriots.
There you go.
Cheap home defense. Let's lock in the two running backs we like, Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker. Put in Cooper Kupp. Okay. Maybe we can't do that. Maybe we go to Keenan Allen to get some exposure. Maybe we go to Puka Nacua.
That's not a... Yeah, all right. Let's see.
I like the Green Bay stack. You can do a lot with it. My opinion.
It's not a bad stack. For a week like this, when I mean it's just poo-poo matchups here for fantasy. Like that, it might not be a bad way to go. I hadn't thought about it, but I'll probably try it out in a couple of lineups.
Yep. So let's just go with some other ones. Zay Flowers is really interesting.
I like Flowers.
He's sneakily been really good. Why?
Absolutely.
Because he's being peppered with targets. He's been sneakily good. I mean, he hasn't blown up. He hasn't like won someone a milli. Do I think he wins someone a milli against Detroit this week? No. Do I think he gets 10 to 15 fantasy points? Probably.
Yeah, I think he hovers around 15 or so points.
We're going to talk about another tight end that's not Travis Kelce. We'll get there. What are some of the other plays you're interested in? Like this 5K range, I think is loaded. Judy,
I like Drake
Watson,
London.
Pickens,
Like Drake London.
Drake London, yeah.
I tell you, look, I told last week, I was very excited. Last week, I said, Drake London. Hey, speaking of last week, would like to apologize to anybody that put Logan Thomas in their flex or their tight end spot like I did, because I just don't even know how you play the worst team against tight ends practically in the NFL and only throw it to your tight end once.
I did it. I didn't want to. People kept talking me onto it. The stats made sense. Everything made sense, and it didn't work out.
Oh, my gosh. But Drake London got that one right.
We did. Again, Washington, the worst team in the league versus perimeter wide receivers. You said it last week. Shout out once again to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast for that stat. Paid off last week. Who's facing Washington this week? We're going to be shut off if I say Darius Slayton as the perimeter threat.
I like Jalen.
Jalen Hyatt?
Yeah, I like Hyatt. And I also like what's
Wandale?
his name? Yes, Wandale Robinson.
There are your cheap wide receivers. Let's wrap this up. We're over an hour. I know we spent a decent amount of that talking other stuff, but is there any other wide receivers? I think Hollywood Brown is really interesting this week. I really like him. Drake London's
I've got a couple
spot.
of shares. I think Sutton could, be all right because he might end up with a touchdown in 50 yards or so.
Yeah. Let's see. Dobbs, Palmer, Rashee Rice. There are a lot of good plays. Josh Reynolds will take shots. Kendrick Bourne, Tutu. Hodgins, who's not really being used anymore, which is a real shame. He did so well last year. I'll take my L on that. Samuel, we talked about. JSN, Jackson Smith and the Jigba. Wandale Robinson. Kadarius Toney, 6 targets each of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. But
There
it's
is
just
someone I want to talk about. Is he in the player pool? He is.
I do like
Look who's back on his old team. Mecole Hardman traded to the Chiefs.
yeah, I don't know. I like Rice better this week
I agree.
for him.
I'll
Like,
take on Hardman. He knows the
yeah,
offense.
if you want to get a flyer because he's going to be like, because he's like super cheap to get some other guys in, I get that because you never know because they already have a rapport. So it's possible that he gets in there, gets a few targets, and makes something of one of them. But he's
It is.
always been that
Yep.
dude. Like, other than one game, it's like he has to bust a play on one of his targets to be worth it that day. He's always been that
He
guy.
was drafted to be Tyreek's replacement when Tyreek was going through that off the field stuff. So
Yeah, there's
anyway,
been
I
like,
think the actual 3 in this offense will be Rice, Toney, and Hardman within the next couple of weeks. Like Rice has got to roll, Tony's got to roll.
yeah,
And then it's been like rotating through everyone else. But, Justin Watson is out and he's been in there too. So I just think the Kansas City wide receivers, obviously the highest total game on the slate is interesting. Anything else from the wide receivers you want to talk about? A Michael Wilson, a Quentin Johnston, a Josh Palmer, Darius Slayton. A lot of good
No.
cheap wide receivers this week.
yeah. I mean, this week it's almost like, look, pay up and get yourself like a cup and lock it and just take a crapshoot on one of these guys because there's tons of low price dudes that you could fill in for a flexer in your wide receiver spot that'll save you some money. And one of them's going to get a touchdown. You just got to, hope it's the one you pick. Personally, I'm saying London and Samuel. I think, those are probably the ones that I feel like have the best chance. I'll leave it at that, really.
There you go. Let's get into it, my friend. Here we go. Tight ends. Travis Kelce, 8,000. Play him. There's nothing else to be said. Play him. Here's what I've been alluding to. Mark freaking Andrews, 5,700. He's under 6K.
Yeah.
He's
it's not a bad price for
the
matchup.
worst teams versus tight ends in the league this year. Mark Andrews should absolutely crush Detroit.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible that he has a good game. But
and
he's
if
just
you want to tell me this week, hey, Adam, I want to play Kelce and Andrews, do it. Because Kelce, you basically are paying for an 8K wide receiver, and Andrews is going to destroy that Detroit defense.
Yeah, I like the Andrews call this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't like Laporta nearly as much this week. He is a darn good tight end. He really is. He's I like him, but I don't like him this week. I don't like Komet either this week.
Nope.
The top two are probably your best choices. Though I like, if you want to save money on tight end, I like going like way down there and like maybe exactly Michael Mayer right there.
My tight end pool is probably going to be very small this week. Michael Mayer, 2,700.
Yep.
2 weeks ago against Green Bay, 3 targets. Last week, 6 targets.
Backup
now he faces
QB.
Chicago. I think Michael Mayer is interesting this week.
Yep.
And is someone I want to play. Parham, you're going to need to take shots in that Chargers Kansas City game. Go for it. Yep. Musgrave is interesting. And Njoku is interesting. Jonnu Smith is interesting. Kyle Pitts is interesting. Tight end this week sucks. I'm just going to come out and say it, and I apologize for swearing, or if you want to call it a cuss word, this week for tight ends sucks.
If I'm wrong 2 weeks in a row, I'm never going to touch this guy again.
If you say Logan Thomas again.
I really do like Logan Thomas. He's 3,500. He's 3,500.
It's the Giants.
But I also like right there, I like Njoku as well there. The Colts they're not that great against the tight end. I feel like he ends up with some like 6 targets and 75 yards or something, which is not bad for a tight end these days. you know.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, man. I've got a good bunch of shares of Logan Thomas right now. I've plenty more lineups to go where I'm sure I won't have him, but this is it. If he doesn't do it for me for this week, then I'll be soured on him for the rest of the season because they definitely showed that they were using him, as like just is almost a focal point of the offense, and then it just stopped against the one team that it should have worked the best against. They didn't even try it, so we'll see.
It's going to be interesting this week. Let's get into it and let's get out of here. Let's get into our favorite plays of the week. Quarterback, give us 2 quarterback plays you like.
I like pay up, of course, for Mahomes, and I like golf too. I like golf this week.
Yeah. I like Mahomes, but I'll give you 2 others. Jordan Love and I'm torn because I feel like there's a tie between Howell, Dobbs, and Ritter.
I mean, I want to say how about we talked about how so
I want to
much
say Dobbs. I'm just going to go with Dobbs.
There you go. There's 4 of them right there. One of those 4 that we've just mentioned will do you all right in your lineups, depending on how you want to build.
There's so many cheap quarterbacks this week. Again, for me, it's kind of a tie between Howell, Dobbs, and Ritter. I just think Dobbs, just based on what he's going to have to do, based on the game script, they're in Seattle. There's potential showers. Dobbs is going to have to throw. You pair him with Brown, you run it back with a Lockett. It's a really interesting stack.
Yeah.
Speaking about stacks, let's go running backs. Not something we typically put in with the stack with a quarterback, but 2 running backs this week that are not Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker. I think you and I are both kind of, set that those are 2 of the best plays this week. If you want Brian Robinson, you can have him.
I've got Pacheco. I like Pacheco this week, 6,100, not bad. And I really like, if you want to pay down, I really like Foreman.
Yep.
Gonna have a lot of opportunity against not a great run defense. So I like Foreman.
I'm gonna go with Brian Robinson and Aaron Jones if he plays.
Yeah.
And again, I mentioned the Austin Eckler pivot. If you want to get off some of the, what should be Chalk and Jacobs and Walker, if you want to get different and find the money to pay up for an Eckler, I think that's viable. It's definitely viable in GPPs. Wide receivers.
Obviously, but I like Tyler Lockett and Drake London this week.
I like it. So Cup, Lockett, London. For me, it's going to be, again, I like Puka on the other side of it. I obviously like Lockett. Man, I like Zay Flowers this week.
I don't think you can go wrong with him right now. I think for where he's at, he's putting up, he's a good value.
Yep. 1 tight end.
Give me Mayer.
I'll take Andrews. There a defense you like this week?
So, price wise, I'm kind of honing in on Detroit's defense.
On the road at Baltimore, I think is fine.
Hey, they're averaging almost 10 points a game, 8.7. That's great for your defense.
If you have the money, go get the Rams. But if not, I mean, you could outright punt with the Patriots. It's a divisional game. Buffalo's in New England. 2,100. If they get me 7 points, I'm fine with it. Anything else, Charlie, before we get out of here?
No, man. Like, it's kind of a poo-poo schedule, but
it's a really weird week. Really weird week.
Yeah, and seriously, I think a lot of the players that we've talked about, some of them are going to be chalked this week, and it's going to be almost unavoidable.
Yep.
It's just, most people that do this, we're looking at these slates, and it's just like, man, there's just some really obvious ones, and also, choose wisely your cheap receiver this week. It might be the one that, wins you all the money.
Yep. There's definitely some pay ups. There's some cheapies. The middle ground and a lot of these positions are really good too. It's all a matter of how you're going to have a good, how you make your lineups. Again, thank you all for tuning in here to the Sizzlin NFL DFS podcast for Week 7. For Charlie, I'm Adam. We'll catch you all next week for Week 8. Go out there, let's win some money. The latest, peoples.